Hey everybody, Beaumont Enterprise sports reporter Avi Zalem here alongside
Dave Barrett.
We just came back from a crazy, exciting, per usual night of high school basketball, except this time it's important, super important, double secret probation high school playoff basketball, in which we saw 5 Southeast Texas teams advance to the next round, to live to play another day. David, what game were you at tonight?
I was at the one game that had two local teams playing each other. I had number 21 Nederland playing number 9 Ozan over in Winnie. Uh, that was something Coach English wanted. He wanted to play in a high school gym. But it was one that it came down to the wire. Nederland won 65-63 on a Colton Weisbrod layup right at the buzzer. It was a really entertaining game. It went to overtime. Nederland, I mean, they played well enough to win. Weisbrod, he was dominant. He got calls. He alone had 15 free throws. Ozan as a team had 15 free throws. So
Attempted.
Or
made.
Attempted.
Yeah, okay.
Each. It was. He did exactly what he needed to. He was able to get to the basket at will. Ozan got a little disadvantage in the third quarter because Trayvon Gibson at that point led Ozan in scoring and was defending Weisbrod, somewhat effectively. And he picked up his third and fourth fouls in the span of probably about a minute, and he had to go out. And that's when Nederland made a run. Ozan made a run in the fourth quarter. But Ozan went 8 of 15 from the free throw line. They lost by 2. So
Weisbrod finished with 41 points.
Weisbrod finished with 41
and I'm
points.
sure a field goal percentage to match.
Yeah, so all in all, it was a great game. Honestly, cliche as it sounds, neither team deserved to lose. But Nederland, they played well enough. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year. So it's congrats to the Bulldogs for advancing to the Region 3 tournament.
And you tweeted earlier that Nederland and Ozan have played 3 times this year, and combined was a margin of 4 points.
Exactly. The first time Ozan won, it was by 1. Weisbrod turned the ball over at the end, and then you were at the second game, I believe, when they won by 5.
It was in the Dog Dome.
In the Dog Dome.
Yeah, and Jordan Hunter just kind of went unconscious from long range, and they were able to win that game, which gave them a share of the district title. And then, ironically, that share of the district title, they decided to flip a coin to decide who would get the number 1 seed, and Central won, and that ended up making a huge difference as Ozan's path through the playoffs has been very difficult.
Yeah.
And Central tonight, pretty much handily beat Pflugerville, Connolly, Strudel, by 12 points. But real quick, I was at Memorial against Fort Bend Bush. Memorial scored 5 touchdowns in a 37-35 loss. That's just that's a Fort Bend Bush. Did I say Marshall the first time?
You might have said Marshall.
I meant to say Bush. Okay, I meant to say Bush. That's a Fort Bend Bush game. They're perfectly happy with that pace. They're happy with milking the clock and taking full advantage of not having any shot clock in high school basketball. In the fourth quarter, the teams combined for 10 points. So as far as the game itself goes, it was very up and down. It was really weird, actually. It was kind of just a weird game because Memorial comes out with a 13-4, I want to say, first quarter lead. And then they got outscored 15-2 in the second quarter. So just kind of completely flipped the script there. And then entering the fourth, though, it's tied at 31. It's going to be a great game. And then each team decides to hold the ball for about a minute before attacking the basket. It really slows the game down. Ultimately, they were very evenly matched teams. I know that Bush has a lot of history behind it. Was a great team in the regular season, got a high rank. But that being said, Memorial shot 1 of 11 from 3-point land in the first half in a game with this few possessions, and they still were tied heading into the fourth quarter. Also, they're arguably one of their best players, if not their best player. Jordan Chapman had 4 points, and they still only lost by 2. So I mean that speaks volumes about how Memorial played. They played great defense. Turnovers became a pretty consistent theme, as they usually are in these high school games, and the fact that whoever was turning the ball over was giving the other team baskets the other way, and that really helped Bush in the second quarter, where they equaled their first. Excuse me. They equaled their first quarter point total in like 50 seconds, which I mean was 4 points, but still, I mean, definitely a big game. Memorial loses a lot of guys after this game. Torian Lott, a great guard, a 3-point threat. It was his senior year. Joseph Williams, a forward, almost as tall as Chapman. He was fouled. I mean, straight up, he was fouled with like 1 second left and didn't get a call. He drove to the basket, and I think that's kind of one of those things where no matter what level of basketball you're at, like if you are down with the opportunity to tie or win, if you drive to the basket, like don't expect a foul to be called, because it totally depends. I mean, that takes an official with some serious cojones, some serious huevos, to make a call that could potentially end the game, and I don't think a lot of them will do it. So should a foul been called? Yes. In the situation, will it be called? Not usually. So Joseph Williams gets fouled. Ball goes out of bounds, but they say it's last touch for Bush. Memorial gets the ball back with 1 second left on the clock because they can't do less than a second. It was 1 second. And Chapman, his jumper falls short and Bush wins. So that being said, moving to the teams that did win, we already spoke about Nederland. Continuing. I mean, this is a team that finished third in district.
Yeah.
Albeit a great district, and they're just chugging along right now. Next, they get Fort Bend Marshall, which I can only assume because it's a Fort Bend team that they're really good.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about them.
At this point in the playoffs.
Yeah, there's no bad teams.
Yeah, when you get to the regional tournament, it's so they will play in Katy in the Merrill Center, where Southland teams of old have battled for a 16 seed in the NCAA tournament. They will play there on Friday at 7:30. Preceding that game will be Central taking on Friendswood. Now, Central, like I said earlier, comes off a convincing 80-68 win against Pflugerville Connolly. And David, I think that was kind of the win we were looking for from them. After winning their first round game by one or two?
1 point.
1 point. We were looking for Central to stand up and say, "Hey, we're the number 10 team in the state for a reason."
Yeah, I know. Like you said, they beat Humble, fourth place team out of 19-4A.
They humbled
by
them.
1.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
But yeah, you were exactly right. These last 2 games, I forget who. I believe they played either Manor in the second round and beat them by 30. And you play Pflugerville Connolly, and I know I believe they might have made a run at the start of the fourth quarter. But as you see, Central was able to win pretty, comfortably. This is what we expect from Central.
And in going along that vein, Toto went off tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw somewhere he had something like 24 points, and this is a guy that you don't expect to be that 20-point-a-game guy, but tonight, I mean, it's clear that he stepped up, and he stepped up big for them, and that's going to be a key if they want to keep winning. I mean, he's their best player.
Yeah.
It's a very deep team. They can call in a lot of different guys, but at the end of the day, you need your best player to play like your best player, and it was clear that Torian Wilridge did that tonight. Moving down to 3A, West Orange Stark beats a good Cleveland team 67-60. They advanced to play Navasota, and I'm sure there's still some bad feelings going on there between the football players of West Orange Stark after losing to Navasota a couple years back when Wass had that amazing defense, and Navasota just took it to them and then ended up winning the state title. Silsbee was a great team of ours, and we knew at some point they were going to have to run into Yates. They did that. That's what happened tonight. They lose to a great Yates team, 93-78, in an expected track meet, ending their season. Obviously. Elam and Patrick Reed, two great players, have their high school careers end tonight. David, do you have any thoughts about either of those 3A
So,
teams?
it's one of those things like you had mentioned with Nederland and Ozan. They're pretty much their playoff fates were determined by the coin flip, and West Orange, Stark, and Silsby's their playoff fate. They played each other in a tiebreaker, and theirs was determined on the court. But West Orange Stark winning means they were able to avoid Yates
Right.
until they wouldn't play Yates until the regional final if both teams make it that far. So I think it's important. But congrats to West Orange Stark. They're one of those teams that they are a team. L'Aquarius Page is a great player, but there's no
he's not the only player.
Yeah, he's not gonna. He doesn't need to score every point for his team.
No.
Chase Rutledge is great. Ty Thompson, Deontay Thompson gets. He's a scrappy.
He's a football player playing basketball.
Exactly.
So what does that mean? Rebounds and fouls.
Yeah. So, but no, it's very important. And for Silsby, it's Yates. This is the second time. Last year they lost by 15 to Yates. This year they lose by 15 to Yates. There's really no shame in it. I mean, they pushed him. They made Yates work for it. But that at a certain point, it's just one of those things you run into a team that's better than you. So hopefully, for our area's sake, West Orange Stark can get some revenge for him.
And looking at a team that might have the best shot of making it to state is Kuntz down in 2A. They beat Crockett tonight, 77-70. They get Jarrell.
Yeah, I don't
Jarrell?
know. I'm not sure about
Jarrell.
Don't know anything about.
I'm not
Jarrell.
from here.
But
please forgive me.
But like like you said, once you get to this point, you can't really take any of these teams for granted. I mean, if you're in the regional tournament.
And in a battle of East Side, East Chambers loses by 1 to East Bernard, 65-64, in what can be considered an upset. Meanwhile, Orange Community Christian,
yes,
going to state.
They're going to the state tournament. They beat Lake Jackson Brazelsport Christian 57-56 in overtime. They'll be heading back up to Mansfield. Third year in a row that they're going up to Mansfield for the state tournament. They're going to play, actually, I remember, Castle Hill out of San Antonio. So congrats to the Lions.
So, yeah, I mean, I have not been tenured here long enough to know the last time that 3 of our teams went into the regional tournament, but, I mean, that's certainly a great accomplishment, and, hey, I mean, state is, only so many wins away, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities for some of these squads. Tonight was certainly an exciting night of action. We knew Needle and Ozan pretty much, I think, lived up to all we thought it could be and more. That's just a great rivalry, and, I tweeted something earlier. I said, can we please just have them play like a best-of-7, like a best-of-5 series?
I think Ozan would be looking forward to that now.
I think we would all have to buy heart medications.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. David, do you have any closing thoughts?
Like you said, it's great that we have this many teams. Obviously, Nederland Central winning on Friday would guarantee that we have at least one team in the state tournament. But I think none of these teams made it here by accident. None of these teams, I think Nederland might be the closest to a Cinderella, but if you saw them during the season, they beat Central. So all of these teams have the capability of making it to the state tournament, and hey, hopefully only 3 out of the 4 can, but hopefully we get as many teams to Austin as possible.
Next round is Friday night, where we will see whether I get to stay in the luxurious Katy Hotel or go home.
And I'll be in Huntsville covering the Stangs.
I'm gonna enjoy Huntsville. All right, guys, thank you so much. Bye bye.